Not equal as in we do everything exactly the same way. We do things our own way, but we have equal power.
Okay, so
You see what I mean? Equal say.
The issue with equal power, you have to examine, kind of like some people, like heavy leftists. There's even an argument that math is sexist or math is racist. Like that math, the production of that, because it came from a Eurocentric white male, that it is racist. Meaning,
No.
and so that would be too far for you to say math.
Math was not invented by white people. It was invented in the Middle East and like Iraq.
Well, not addition and subtraction. Algebra is a Middle Eastern invention. My point is this.
Like there's a long history of math, and it's not just white people.
Right. Certainly. But my point is that there's an argument now on the extreme left that math is racist. Mm. And so that would be too far from you. But if
I don't really agree with that.
Okay, so now, but what happens? Okay, so but then what I'm getting at is this: you say equal power, but power requires a landscape or a context, and that context, in my worldview, is capitalism. It's the way the capital market, like let's say money equals power. Like what do you call power? What's your definition of power? There's like a lot of
problems with our capitalist system of there's a lot of problems. The main problem with the capitalist machine or what have you is because the people who give the most to the world are not they're not the people who are monetarily rewarded the most. A lot of times it's like this random thing where, in fact, you could possibly say you could be rewarded more for harming the world or creating garbage that nobody needs or tricking people into buying shit they don't want, or instead of like actually like, oh, you're being rewarded according to how you're helping other people. Capitalism doesn't actually work that way. In my opinion, our version of capitalism doesn't really reward people for altruistic behavior that benefits other people.
Yeah, capitalism doesn't reward altruism.
No.
I mean, unless you get a tax write-off.
But maybe you could build some kind of economic machine that did not necessarily altruism, because altruism, I don't even know if I believe in altruism, because altruism kind of like implies that you're like helping others, but you're just like neglecting yourself. But see, I don't really believe in that. I believe like, oh, you should help others at the same time that you're helping yourself.
Well,
like a balance.
I like that, but okay. So you don't believe in altruism, but you should help other people. My point was this: you use the word power, right? That men and women should have equal power. But I'm saying the context of the power, the context of modern Western first world power is capitalistic power. Right. Meaning, what power isn't equalized if it's not capitalistic power? Meaning, is it what other powers are you referring to other than the power of money or the power of material wealth?
Well, I think like the only reason capitalism works is because people like buy into it and they support it. The only reason the only reason money or property has value is because people are supporting it.
Yeah, but let's say you didn't support it, but everyone else did.
Right.
Let's say because 5 of you didn't support it, but everyone else did.
That's the whole point. The majority of people are supporting it.
So we're enculturated into the support of it.
I guess so.
Well, so
it's not just enculturated, but it's a machine that's already been built. Right. It's like a lot more hard to just build a brand new machine than just to use the one that's already there.
Right, and so when you're referring to gender equal or equity in terms of power, let's say, you use that word, but you say equal power.
Yeah.
Generally, you say then that generally is kind of the caveat, like because we start out with the idea men and women are different, and then we try to talk about how we're enculturated. The context, I say, is capitalism.
Well, okay, we have a history of discriminating against women. I mean, it's not been very long ago when women didn't have the legal right to own property. I mean, come on.
No, I know. Okay, but and then there's
So this is where we come from.
reshoring up the past, meaning
It was very simple. They just changed the law, and okay, now
right. They just changed the law. Now women vote. Now women have like the Ben Shapiro's of the world will say there is no such thing as systemic racism because there's all the laws require that people behave in this manner, and then you'll get minorities saying there still is overt systemic racism, and then they'll pull from different stats. I'm just wondering, as I go pour another one of these drinks, pour us another one of these drinks, equally pour these drinks.
See how nice that is? It feels good.
It is nice. Oh, but all I'm saying is this: is if women want equal power in the context of capitalism, then they're saying we want equal power within the current context.
Maybe. You can start there. You can start there, and then if you do that, women will probably give some ideas as to how to change it for the better. Like gradually, probably. Yeah, I know, Columbus School. Columbus School today.
Okay, let's go.
See, once you let the women in, then you'll hear their ideas. Then they'll have ideas on how to like change it. Evolve to be the world will probably be different. Maybe it'll be better for everybody.
We should continue in the other room.
I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't know. That's what I think would happen.
Well, see, and
I
so
think gradual change is probably the best too, because it's like less violent and it's less. Like, gradual change is nice. Like, things evolve. That's how like life works.
But how do you describe the difference? Like, let's say, okay, you're going to say men and women are different. Do you say men and women think differently?
Yeah.
Right. Then would you say that one of the ways that they think differently is how? Like, how do men think differently than women? Like, how do you describe the difference?
Okay. Oh, I know so much of the difference. Okay. I feel like women. Okay, if I'm just using myself as an example, I've noticed this about myself. I feel like I see. Okay, there's a lot of ways, but one way is like I know what I want, maybe why I want it, or how things should be in general, like the whole picture, like, and it's not in detail. It's like it's like an impressionistic painting, but I see the whole thing. And I feel like men are very, very good at details. So it's like women, like, oh, they know the whole picture, like, oh, this would be good, this would be good, and they just have this internal sense of they don't know why. They just kind of know.
They don't know why.
They don't know why. No.
They know.
They don't know why, but they kind of have this, well, like, we're the
sense of the bigger.
We don't know how we create life, but we fucking create life, okay? We don't know how we do it, but we do it. Okay. Same with the big picture. We kind of know what's good for everybody because we're like family oriented, community oriented. We care about the community. We care about each other. And like we want what's best for everybody. Okay, we do. We have this natural like,
but how is that different than men?
Well, they do too. But this is the difference.
Right.
Men
go ahead.
Are so fucking good at figuring out how to do it.
Women
can't figure out how to fucking do it.
Right.
And we need the men to figure out how to fucking do it. So we know what to do, but we don't know how to do it.
All right, we know what to do, but we don't know how to do it.
We don't know how to do it.
I actually can agree with that in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I got more of that. I was going to pee. If you need other. We're down to the last drink.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's interesting to get your take on that because I kind of agree with what you're saying, but there's plenty of men that are in the dark about things.
Well, like what men seem to, in general, to me, men seem to get. I think men are brilliant, but they know they're always into details. It seems like this is just my general impression. Okay, they're into details and they know how to do brilliant things that I couldn't do in myself. Some women probably could, but I don't know. I'm not just saying women can't do brilliant things, but I feel like okay, this is my impression of life, and I could be wrong, but.
You could be wrong about your impression on life.
I feel like I know things, what the best thing to do is, but I've been suppressed as to like, I'm not supposed to act like the know-it-all, but I kind of know.
But are you suppressed because of women because you're
No,
a
no, no,
woman,
no.
or
No, that's not
you
the point.
particularly?
No, the point
Oh, okay,
is
that's
like
not the
women
point.
sometimes have a general feeling is like they know what to do. Like they know the next move. They know what to do. But they've been told, don't just let the men lead. But they know the answer. Like, oh, I know the answer. I know the answer. But they've been told, don't. You're not supposed to answer that. And men have been told the opposite. Don't admit when you don't know something, and just pretend like you know the answer. But they don't fucking know the answer. They don't know the answer.
Okay, so men
and they're
pretend to
pretending
know the
they know the
answer.
Women are pretending they don't know the answer, but they actually do know the answer. Men
But
are
they do.
pretending they know the answer, and they don't.
Well, when you say though they pretend, but you already said women don't know the how to.
Women know what to do, but they don't know how to do it. And men are excellent at figuring out how to do it.
Right. Okay. So then what? So do you think that women on the board, like if California has every board that requires a woman in some upcoming year, is the woman then take on a special role of generalizing the direction of the company, and then the men are somehow supposed to figure out the details of architecting?
Bingo, fucking bingo. That is like how I see the world. So like maybe that's sexist. I don't know. People have told me that's sexist. I don't know. That's how I see the world. That's my take on it.
Okay, but now back to the hair thing then.
See, and the hair, I don't really care. Like whatever. But I
no,
long
still
hair. I don't probably have long hair.
No, but it's almost like. But do you think that women almost ubiquitously historically have long hair because they're enculturated to do it? Meaning it's almost across all cultures. You might get some African shaved head thing. You have some exceptional cultures, and you have some marginal exceptional women.
No, when I was 5 years old, my mom kept trying to cut my hair off, and I was so pissed. And she'd secretly do it and not tell me, and I always wanted long hair. I loved it.
No, I know, but were you like even between zero? Like I mean, when my niece was born, they put a bow on her head, like some little fake little half-inch bow to make certain she was a girl.
No,
in fact, this seemed like a neurosis of my sister-in-law.
No. When I was a kid, I remember people would I had a coat that my mom put on me that was cute. And I remember everybody saying, "Oh, I love your coat. It was such a cute coat." And I was like, "Why the shit do they give a shit about my coat?" Looks like whatever.
Why the fuck do they give it back your coat?
That's what I was thinking. I was like 3 years old. I'm like, why do you care about my fucking coat? It's like, but I wanted long hair.
Yeah, but I wanted long hair. But I'm just wondering, between 0 and 3, were you trained to have long hair? See, if you were my niece, the answer would be yes. Meaning my sister-in-law just let all the hair grow out. Don't cut that stuff. Make certain we know she's a girl, because she had something to hang up with her second boy. Like we didn't want to emasculate him, so we made she felt, I guess, that she dropped a ball on her second son or something.
You know what it might be?
Go ahead.
Maybe more than women having long hair, maybe it's kind of just like a mean thing to cut off the boys' hair. Maybe men would love to have long hair. And they've been enculturated to chop it off.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You be tough. Maybe they would like to have long hair.
No. There's plenty of men that like to have long hair, and they do have long hair, and there's a bunch of women that want short hair. But when I'm saying this, when you're talking about men and women's differences, it appears, and I'm not going to say men aren't enculturated to have short hair. We are. But it seems that men's hair oscillates more in length compared between now and back in the 1400s of the Vikings.
Oh, sorry.
Or in the 1200s or 1000s.
Didn't they used to have ponies and the Native American men had long hair?
Yeah, there was whole cultures where men had long hair, but there's almost all historical women have also had long hair. And that's why I'm just trying to get at. To me, that's a huge enigma. People throw out all these answers. But anyway, my point is this, is obviously
maybe it's like Samson, maybe we have power in our hair.
Well, I know. It's like, and then well, in some extent, like if you cut your hair off, you lose power. And like Samson, but another friend said, what happens if all of your hair was a nerve? Each hair was a nerve, and if you cut it, it hurt. Ow, 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 ow. Right? Because it's almost like that's how women are trained. Like, don't cut your hair. It's like cutting a nerve. But anyway, what I was driving at, I'm just trying to drill down. If women know where to float the boat, but they don't know how to get there, and we're supposed to just carte blanche allow that, then why? And then let's say equality was required, right? So let's say every single grouping, professional grouping, every company had to have equal amount of women and equal amount of men, and that you just like where does the distribution in the capitalistic context stop? Where does it begin?
Well, so you keep thinking about it as a law thing.
Well, meaning I wouldn't know how to architect it.
Well,
Like you have a
kind of
will thing.
It's kind of a weird thing because you think of the history of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't necessarily always been in such huge, large groupings where we have to have laws. We've been in more like small little,
like that.
tribes,
Yeah.
right? Where we didn't have to do these laws. We were just like, oh, we're like a big family.
So you kind of knew though. But if
we didn't have like this, oh, let's like lay it out in a law and like write in a book. And
right.
That's like a modern thing.
Well, it's modern throughout
we
humanity.
have to do
but this is what I meant by why then would you want power when the context is based in law? Not why would you want power in a flippant question. I'm not asking it flippantly.
Okay. I guess like laws that protect me, I appreciate because then that keeps me safe as a person.
Keeps you safe as a person.
Oh yeah, like a lot of laws protect women. A lot of modern laws protect women.
Yeah,
like the law with we can own property that protects us. Oh, the law that you can't sexually harass me. Oh, yeah, that protects me. The law that you can't discriminate against me because I'm woman. Yeah, that protects me. Oh, my husband can't beat me. That protects me. Like stuff like that. You can't rape me. Oh, yeah, that's good.
Okay,
I'm not gonna get raped.
So then you have positive laws and negative laws. Like I can't violate you, but you want to be
the reason why
a board member, you want 50% of all meaning put it this way. Let me ask you this.
I'll tell
Do you think
what.
all bathrooms should be unisex? Everyone uses the one bathroom. Like everyone's shitting in the same place, showering in the same place, washing in the same place.
I think that's a very unimportant thing to focus on. That's like a distraction. I think women should be board members because this is the type of thing that I'm thinking. Women like tend to care about the whole community. So like they care about the environment, they don't want to destroy like if women were on the board member and they were just thinking about the bottom line, how much money they made, but they were like ripping out trees in the rainforest that had been there for thousands of years and is important ecology, or if they were like building dams that like flooded these farmlands of these farmers, oh, now they have to move to the city and become prostitutes. Oh, wow, maybe more women in the population would be like, fuck that, it's not worth it. Let's not do that, it's unethical. And I'm not saying that's just a woman thing, that women are more ethical, but I'm just saying it's maybe as a...
Okay, so wait, lay this out again. Okay, so, and I get it, right? Like, okay, you're saying women, rainforests, ecology.
It's not just women that care about the environment, and it's not just women that care about like, oh, maybe this is okay, I've heard of have you heard about the World Bank and the IMF?
Yeah.
And how they've destroyed, basically people, like countries, borrow money from them to build these big dams, and these dams have like flooded off the farmlands that people have been living happily for years, like thousands of years, and now they have to go to Thailand and become prostitutes. Have you heard of shit like that happening?
Well,
that's the kind of thing, like maybe that's the kind of thing women could help the rest of the world. I'm not saying it's just women because that sounds sexist. There are men, like Bernie is kind of a man who thinks sort of like a woman. Like a lot of women are behind Bernie because he thinks like.
No,
it sounds weird, but
there's a lot of women behind Trump, but there's a lot of women behind Bernie, and meaning because Bernie is thinking more tangentially, more globally, more contextually about things.
But you have to think about things ethically. Is what I'm saying, ethically.
No, I know, but then see the meaning.
Well, because
you and I both know
givers and men are the life takers.
Men are the life
givers,
and men are the life takers. Why would you insist that binary? Men are the life givers. Women are the receivers of life. Can I say that? Can I reframe it like that?
That's fine too. That's fine. Like all women and all men are not like. I'm just saying that like. Okay, there's like a masculine and a feminine part of each person. Okay.
No, I know. So then what happens? Can't we just get like a transgendered guy that thinks he's a woman to take the
It has
board?
nothing to do with transgender.
Okay, go ahead.
So it has to do with like the personality, okay, that you're born in. There's like a feminine and a masculine, or a yin and a yang. And when you're female, you have more of the feminine energy running through it. It's dominating. And then the masculine has the more masculine energy. And it's dominating. And the masculine energy tends to be like more violent, more like risk taking, more like,
Less of the normative behaviors
less
of that
like,
particular.
I don't know, it's just it's its own thing. It's not bad or good. Okay. The woman has the more like careful, more like holistic, more like I don't know, compassionate, possibly. More like compassionate, less
But what
trying to control people.
where's this notion that women are more compassionate? I mean, they're compassionate to their daughters and their sons, but to their husbands, I wouldn't say that they're more
but
compassionate.
it's not women. It's just the female and the male. Just think of it as
so it's the feminine and the masculine.
So take it out of the female and the male, and let's not worry about it because it sounds
Well, I'll grant compassion over to the feminine.
Let's say the yin and the yang.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there's the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
Okay.
The yang is
the yin and the yang.
That's like food.
Let's just not assign it to any type of person. There's two.
Okay, two things. Right. And you're going to make a dichotomy.
Shadow and the light or whatever, and they need each other. Let's say that they're both important, and they have to be balanced, just like they say in the little sign. The yin and the yang have to be balanced. Okay. So, like, I have not always been a woman. I've probably been reincarnated as several men. Okay.
Well, you thought I was a black guy before I became a white guy.
Our soul is like both, exactly.
Our soul. So you're okay. So you're now.
But when we have our earthly experience, we tend to be more dominant in one or the other, and most generally women.
Because you seem very masculine. You're a very masculine woman.
Okay, whatever.
I'm kidding. I'm just fucking.
Okay, but whatever. Like yin women, yang men. I don't know which is the right word. But anyway,
women, yang men.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So you tend to have this certain experience where you like have the flow of one energy more than the other. Okay. Well, that's important because as a whole group, you need everybody's gifts and you need the insight of both kinds. You don't want it all just to be women either. You want it to be both evenly distributed in the most optimal balance. And I think that historically, women have been like kind of like taken advantage of and put, oh great, somebody's shooting, put under and disempowered. I don't think anyone can really argue for this. In our very short history of previous, I feel like women have been disempowered. I don't think anyone can argue that that's happened. Okay, everybody knows that's happened. Okay, anyway.
It's fine.
All right.
I mean, I could try to generate an argument.
But what I'm trying to say is like empowering us to be the equal amount of power in whatever way that means. Like I'm saying I'm a woman. I don't know exactly how to say how that happens. But let's say we do have that happen in the general sense that we have equal power in society. This is not just going to benefit us. It's not going to hurt men and benefit women. It's going to help men and benefit women and benefit children and benefit everybody. Because it's balanced, because balance is what's supposed to be.
I'm just asking, okay, now, meaning a ubiquity of balance.
See, this is an example of you getting caught up in details. You see what I'm saying?
Well, no, I know, but I'm just talking about context. Like a context orientation is really huge. She wants a ubiquity, a displacement, an equality of man versus woman, and yet I suppose that still statistically there's more women in biological history than men, meaning there's more men that are created that don't have offspring than women who are created that don't have offspring. And so there's more women condensed, like a more singular. There's fewer women historically, and hence more dominant women than men in the genome code. Something to that effect. And so this idea of looking at the human organism as it's passing through, it appears that women dominate more so than men, meaning that that particular type of equality has always favored women. I mean, it's very peculiar. My neighbor, Jesus, he has 14 kids, so he claims. Right? So supposing he has 14 kids from, let's say, 10 women.
I never locked it, so I was locking myself in there.
You were locking
I didn't hear
yourself in
anything you said because I was peeing, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just trying to think. Like there's what is the necessary asymmetry between men and women? And because what I was saying was this while you were in the bathroom, I was saying there are more women in history that have had offspring than men. There's more men that were born that didn't have kids than there are women that were born that didn't have kids.
Really?
Right? Well, because more.
Are you sure?
Well, I'm not absolutely certain, but my belief isn't. My understanding is that there's more men that die without having offspring than women that die without having offspring. And so if that's the case, that would be an asymmetry. And so I'm just saying, like, women appear as organisms, not as part of like the power of the culture, as organisms. They're more likely to have offspring than men per capita. You know, per capita is.
I don't know if that's really true though.
Well, you can say you don't know that it's really true, but if I supplant the idea that you don't know with it's the case. Like, for example.
So is there statistics to back that up?
There's statistics to back this up, meaning that there's more men that don't have kids than there are women. There's more men that have.
What if men have kids they don't know about?
Well, I mean, I might fall in that case, but the other thing is that, like, okay, and maybe I'm wrong, like on a spiritual level, right? I don't believe I have any kids, and you believe you have 2 kids. You believe you have 2 kids. You've given birth to them. You believe those are your 2 daughters, right? And I believe I have 0 kids with the possibility of maybe having 3 possible random kids, but more than likely I believe I have 0, right? And so I think there's more men that don't have kids than there are women that don't have kids. So that's an asymmetry for women in women's favor. And if that is true, then women, as a part of the genetic code, have a dominance over men. And so if you say that because now, and this is one argument, right? I'm just going to throw this out. If women have a genetic dominance over men, then men having a cultured and enculturated dominance over women seems almost as if it's a balance. The equilibrium has already been met.
I don't know how that makes any sense that women have dominance over men because more women have offspring.
You have dominance over the genetic code of humans. Like, women have a dominance.
No, they don't make dominance because every single person that a woman produces has 50% of the DNA from another man.
No. The point is this: is you have 2 kids from 2 dads, and you're 1 woman. So let's say, hypothetically, right? And I know there's several women, right? But there's other woman that I know. She has 3 kids from 3 different dads. So that means her genetic code is displaced into the future thrice. And each one of those guys, if they only had 1 kid, they're only in the genetic code once. So that means her feminine code, like your feminine code, is transferred into the future more so than any of those men. Any of those men. And so this is what I meant by women organismally, as an organism, have dominance. So if men have dominance culturally.
You still haven't convinced me that women have dominance because of this. This like doesn't.
No, I'm just trying to say if women have dominance as an organism and men have dominance as a culture, then it seems as if there is a possible balance there.
There's just as many men who have like women have children with more than one woman.
Well, my next door neighbor, Jesus, he claims he has 14 kids.
Yeah,
And I think
men are
he's-
like way more capable of having lots of children because they can have like if they had 5 different partners and 5 different kids. And they could have
But the point is,
25
it's a
kids.
rare few. Do you not agree with that? Maybe you totally
Not
disagree
really,
with this.
but
Like how many really short, fat, disabled men do you think have a lot of kids? Like I'm a tall, thin, disabled man, and I have 0 kids. But if you took a bunch of me that weren't disabled, right, I would probably still have fewer kids than the average. Well, you always have to have 2 to tango, right? So we know there's 2. But women are the one, meaning one guy like Jesus can have 14 kids and I can have none, right? Where the 14, I mean, to me, this is all a mathematical issue. But I'm just saying this, Jenny, if women dominate the genetic code, then men dominating the enculturated code seems as if it could be a balance. And you're like, that's still not fair.
first of all, I don't agree with that.
Well, do you not agree with it based on numbers? Or
Either way. Like first, I don't think women dominate the genetic code. Secondly, I don't think like men dominating even if that was somehow true, which I can't even imagine how it could be true.
How can you not imagine it's true?
Because it doesn't make any sense. Okay, because more women reproduce than less men.
Yeah.
That doesn't make women in general more powerful than.
No, but they're more
men.
genetically dominant.
Well, because this few men that are still like with the genetic code, that just makes them more powerful because then there's these few men are more powerful than the other men, but they're not necessarily like less powerful than the women.
But then I'm saying that instead of moving women into these boards legally, why not move beta males into these boards legally? You know what I mean? Like the beta male, let's say there's alpha males and beta males, and the beta males are the ones that have no kids, like myself. I'm a beta male. Let me put myself in that category. You have 2 kids from 2 different dads. So and I don't know about the other 2 dads, right? Whether or not they have any other kids from any other women. Do they? Just as a stat. You don't have to tell me. I'm not telling you the age. You're not going to tell me that stat. Or maybe you would. My point was this, is that maybe the discrepancy is between men that are reproducing and men that are not. And that really the asymmetry is not between men and women. It's between those who breed and those who don't. So if we took all the women who did not breed and all the men who do not breed, and I said statistically the men will double or triple that number of women, and you're like, you might deny that. Or you said you argue with those stats, right? Like you don't know whether or not that's true or not. I'm just throwing it at you.
So do you feel like discriminated as a person because you feel like less powerful because you haven't been able to like have children?
Yeah. I feel less fulfilled as an organism.
And so you feel like you need what do you call it? What's that called?
Offspring, natalism, antinatalism.
No. What's it called? When you force someone to put like a black person on the board, it's called.
Oh, affirmative action.
You need affirmative action for you because you don't have children.
Right, I need it.
Because you're a discriminated group of people.
Like even some of these psychologists they'll say, look, the reason these kids go out, these white males go out and they're shooting up these synagogues or Muslims or black churches, they're doing it because they're not getting laid. Like any of these guys that are blowing shit up, if they had kids, like none of them are married, they're all alone, they're all these rogue kids that aren't getting laid. And and so statistically they say more mass shooters do not have a family unit. Why don't they have a family unit? A, they're not getting laid. B, they don't have kids. Therefore, they're part of this class of like me that don't have kids, but that they're somehow angered. And so they formulate an idealism, which I don't do, which then drives them to go out and shoot these people, right? Like they're the enemy and I'm fighting for my group. It's this group argument. Anyway, my whole point in bringing this up, right, is that if there is actually let's say Mother Nature always balances everything. And so if women aren't on the boards of companies, it's because of Mother Nature, it's because of God, it's because of fate, right? And the law is coming in to force women to get on the boards and to become equal. But women, that's just really women being greedy, because women already own and dominate the genetic code of the future, and they just want more than their fair share. And that the history of women getting less is actually the history of equality.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Yeah. See, I actually like that answer. Like, nah, I don't buy that. But see, I do think, I mean, women are considered a higher economy, meaning when you brought up prostitution, if women have to go to a city to prostitute themselves, if women have to go to a city to prostitute themselves to stay alive, the majority of prostitutes might get knocked up and still be prostitutes. But women are meaning, that's why I guess I was asking, what's the difference between men and women? And then, to me, the length of hair is the most primary enculturated difference. And it's unknown. It's an enigma. You don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. And so in my mind, I'm just trying to figure out, why is it that women think that where they stand historically is not already Mother Nature or God balancing them appropriately? Something like that. I mean, because you'll say we're black.
Well, because there's
reincarnated.
There are a lot of like different cultures and time periods when women had more or less power. And I think like the recent past has like been pretty bad to us.
But why? Why do you think it's been? Is it when the civil rights came in, when women got to vote and women could form companies in a land?
So that's good. That part's good.
Okay.
I think we needed that.
Okay, so you needed that, but then do you agree with affirmative action then? Is that what you're saying? Like,
I don't think I have a problem with that.
I mean, when I'm there, I'm like, okay, go ahead and make these laws, put women onto boards, bring more minorities into school, because of why? Is it systemic sexism? Is that what you're saying?
Know.
Systemic sexism.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
I'm just saying, you don't have to.
I don't like have a strong opinion about affirmative action per se. Like that's like one method I think that people have tried to use, but I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay,
Not one way or the other, really.
I'm just curious then. What's your cure? Like how to do this? How do we implement it? How do we balance everything?
Well, I think like people like in general have like had this idea that everything has to be forced onto people. And I feel like we could just change our attitude and things would change.
And then do you think that's done more in arts or music?
Probably.
Or is it in law, or is it in...
Yeah, it's probably more in like arts and music, or just people talking to each other. I don't know, just laws can help it, but I guess if you have a law that's a little too, what's the word? It can rub people the wrong way, and they're like, oh, fuck that. And then they kind of like get resistance against it. Whereas if they have like a more subtle law, people kind of go along with it and like learn new things and like, oh yeah, I don't hate gay people, whatever. Yeah.
Well, one of my legal issues is a lewdness issue, which is like an obscenity law. In the history, like 100 years ago, men could not show their nipples in public.
They couldn't?
They couldn't. Men had to wear a one-piece bathing suit, not necessarily one piece, but they had to cover their nipples. And now, but then they were released around World War I in the States to be able to go topless. And now you got Free the Nipple campaigns that are occurring for women. And some states are kind of allowing some more things. So the history of obscenity laws and lewdness laws, they're still intact for the sake of, in my mind, for society's formal relationship towards children. And I think in Greek and Roman times, they already blew past it. People were walking around naked. They were doing public bathing. There wasn't such a thing as a men's bathroom and a women's bathroom. People just went to the bathroom. And that's why I was like, what do you think about men's and women's bathrooms? But anyway, I'm just throwing all that out. I'm just, it's cool interviewing.
I think they mean more private bathrooms in general.
You need more private bathroom.
Yeah, like the ones they have at Harmon's where you have the whole door. I love that.
Yeah, we went to England and Amsterdam. In England, they had a full door in their bathroom.
Yeah,
and,
it's better.
like all the way to the floor and all the way up, and it was the water closet, right? And my niece found that fascinating. But then if you go to China, it's a bunch of men or a bunch of women. I guess they still separate through that, but you're all just squatting over kind of the same hole.
That sounds terrible.
Not always, but in some areas.
The same hole?
Yeah, the same hole.
Holy shit, that's awful.
But if that was it, like that's why I was just curious. Do you want to remember that? How are you doing?
I think I'm okay.
Okay. Anyway, I was just wondering because I mean, I agree with you. Like to me, on the cultural end, women need this huge thing, and I'm really actually glad that you kind of spread out with the idea of women have a general notion of where to take things, and that Bernie's like that. Like that makes sense. Like that makes intuitive sense to me. I'm not saying it makes sense to everyone, like objectively, that makes sense. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to you. It's like, how do you convince like so many millions of people that don't believe that? They think, like women think, no, the women's place is in the home and to raise kids and let the men go out and bring home that like hunter-gatherers, like we're genetically trained, let the men go do, women don't go out and hunter-gather. That kind of argument, right? And then you'd say, no, some women did, and you'd be right. That's why I'm like, how are human dynamics actually able to be fettered out and put together so that people know where to put their energy? Who is going to lead this? Why do we even have a leader? Even leaders seem like an obsolete idea. It's like, oh no, it's the alpha chimp or something like that. And it's always male. Why is it always male? Why is the alpha chimp always male? Anyway. You're a good talker on it. I didn't mean to like try to like stun you on that. But this is and I don't think I stunned you. I was just curious.
I drank too much beer. I feel kind of depressed.
Well, I was just throwing it out as opposition. I'm not trying to make you depressed. Not on the cause. I'm numbing myself up. I feel like I'm getting started, kind of. Well, I am curious though about your politics. Maybe I shouldn't be so extra curious. I never know where anyone's coming from. That's why I asked. That's why you're like an interesting person, because you hold this situation and that whole notion of women biologically being dominant, so therefore the culture of men's dominance balances it. It's kind of a rat shit argument.
I don't know. I'm just tired. I feel depressed right now.
I wish Sarah Silverman ran for president. Who are you voting for anyway, do you figure? Are you going for, you're a Bernie guy, not a Warren guy? Not a Warren person?
I like Warren too, but I think that people should just vote for Bernie because he has more traction. I don't think she should be like competing against him. It's like an anti-democrat.
If she, Because you're taking away Bernie votes, or what?
I guess it's all through the primary. I like Warren. I like her too. I don't even know. I'm voter right now. I'm so impressed. I try not to think about politics. It just makes me depressed.
Yeah, well, and the only reason I think about it is because as a, as I refine my arguments, then it helps me because Bernie and Trump are going to die before we do. Right? They're old folks. We're not old folks. And then they're going to be gone, and then we're going to be left with whatever the next generation is shoring up. I don't know. It just seems to me that I don't know. Yeah, sorry I didn't play the movie. We're gonna watch a movie. Well, I drank 4 of them. You drank 2 of them. I'm glad you got the money back for the guitar, by the way. Hmm. Hmm. I still think it's odd that you wanted to line me up with this Michelle lady, some random.
I don't want to line you up with Michelle. I think I just miss Michelle.
It sounds like you do.
Honestly, I'm probably trying to replace Michelle with you.
Well, well, in the same way, like I kind of miss Selma, and some of the things that you had mentioned kind of like got me and like, oh man, that's kind of like Selma. It's like I used to watch Brady Bunch, and then one time the kids got upset with Alice, their maid, right? And then they brought in Flo or something like that, this other maid to take Alice's place. It was like a 2-episode thing, so it was pretty serious.
Holy crap, I don't remember Flo.
Well, maybe it wasn't Flo or Kay. Her name was Kay.
Oh, they replaced Alice? They can't replace Alice?
Yeah, they replaced Alice, and then that was the whole thing for 2 whole shows. And the second show, the kids showed up and they said, hey, Al, hey, Kay, we were thinking about blah, blah, blah. And then Kay said, well, I'm Kay, not Alice. And then the kids got sad, and then Mike and Carol had to go in and explain to Kay, look, we have to let you go. We're going to try to get Alice back. Like she's part of the family sort of thing. And I don't know. It's just, it was kind of fucked up. Not that, I mean, I've been absent of Selma well before you showed up, so it's not really one of those things. I think it's just like you with Michelle, like, hey, maybe you should, hey, like you said, replace Michelle. You didn't say that.
I feel bad. I shouldn't have told her, oh, I could get a different bass player. I don't have to use his bass player. That was like fucked up to say that. I shouldn't have said that.
Well, yeah, what do you do? Yeah, oh man, alcohol, Seattle, packing, pain doctors, amputation, drums.
Why don't you just like get back together with someone?
Well, she wants, like I said, I think if I mean, am I honestly honest, if I like, and I told her this, I'm like, man, I like, cause I haven't really felt the love bug in a while, but I really felt like, God, I'm starting to love this woman, right? And then the problem is that I literally felt as if she would entirely not only take advantage, but just fucking kill me, just like twist me to shreds and chew me up and spit me out. So I wasn't gonna let her do it. Like I viewed her like a black widow, right? And then the big joke is that in the Spider Kingdom, the Black Widow just she gets impregnated and then she kills the guy. And in the human kingdom, they spend a whole lifetime milking the man to death, and then they spit him out at the end. That kind of notion, like, well, in the human kingdom, men are just tossed to shit, and so that's why
Trust her.
I don't trust her. Meaning, I could say, well, I was falling in love for her, and that was cue that I needed to push her away because I didn't trust her.
But if she loves you too, like, why would she want to hurt you?
Well, that we didn't. I don't know. She was also yin yangy, and maybe actually your description of women kind of helps, but just kind of this overall, like it was like she was being fake. She was lying to me on purpose. Like I want to be just platonic band members, and that gapping to me was fine. Like, okay, fine, I'll drop down there. But what she really wanted was for me to go towards her. And then when I didn't go towards her in the absence, she then freaked the fuck out.
So why don't you just go towards her and say, "Oh, marry me"?
Well,
Whatever else she wants.
there's a lot of, I don't know, there's a few reasons, I guess. I mean, because I'm not fully ensconced in love for her. You know, and I don't know what to say about that.
I thought you said you did love her and you were afraid it was going to destroy you because she'd take
Well,
advantage of
no,
it.
I was just getting this inkling of love. Like I was feeling good love, and it made sense. And then that's when I pulled away. Like we both kind of polarized and we moved away.
Why don't you just like go back and not pull away next time? This time.
Well, I think it was a fear that everything was in my life was going to pull away, and it was also like to me maybe it was over analysis, meaning that she is so volatile, like her life is so volatile.
What does she do for a living?
She's a massage therapist. God, this is nutty here.
So is she dating somebody else, or what is she doing?
I have no idea. All I know is she had her friend. And see, this is the weird thing. My dialogue with her friend, whoever it was, man or a woman, the dialogue was more attractive than Selma's dialogue. Like Selma's dialogue is not attractive. There's nothing about it that draws me. This dialogue was at least nuanced and specific. And this is what I mean is so I wrote a book on contradiction because I feel as if I'm locked within these contradictory sets. Everyone else is so like set on the way they see things, and I'm like lost in outer space or something. I'm not even certain what to make of it. Please help me, please.